You know, it's funny how sometimes you'll see something online and it just blows up. Everyone's talking about it, sharing it. It's like it's got a life of its own. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into what makes things go viral, that psychology behind it. We're using Refi L.R. Smith's book, Master the Art of Going Viral, as our guide, and The Maru. I think you're going to find this really interesting.
Yeah, we're going to kind of unpack what makes some content spread like wildfire, and by the end, you'll understand how to make content that really connects with your audience.
Yeah, and one of the first things the book does is it debunks this myth that going viral is all about luck. It's not about luck. Smith says it's about something much deeper. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he's talking about what he calls emotional resonance. And it's really fascinating how this plays out online. Those posts that really grab you, the ones you can't help but share or talk about, they all trigger a strong emotional response. Think about the last time you watched a video that made you laugh uncontrollably, or a story that moved you to tears. You probably felt like you had to share that with somebody else.
Yeah, you're right. But with so much content out there, how do you even cut through the noise?
Well, that's where things get a little more strategic. It's not just about any emotion. Some emotions are way more contagious and shareable than others, like joy and inspiration. When we feel those things, we naturally want to share that with people, spread that positivity, and connect with others.
Okay, so you're saying
Mhm.
like a hilarious meme or a really inspiring story is going to go further than like a post about something sad or frustrating. But I mean, negative stuff definitely gets attention too, right?
Absolutely. And the book talks about that.
Hmm.
They use the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge as an example. While that was all about empathy and raising awareness for a disease, the challenge itself was fun. People felt good doing it and spreading that awareness, even though the underlying issue was serious.
Yeah, that's a good point. It wasn't just about awareness, it was about taking action. And that fun element made people want to share it. So it's like you'll have to find that balance between a powerful message and a positive emotional hook.
Exactly. And speaking of powerful messages, outrage can definitely make things go viral too. But you have to be careful with it. It's not about getting people riled up for no reason. It's about channeling that outrage into something meaningful.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can definitely see how that could backfire, especially these days. So how do you use outrage the right way without turning people off or seeming insensitive?
The book talks about how important it is to pair that outrage with solutions and calls to action. One example they use is Autochthons of America. They're a group that's really good at using social media for social justice campaigns. They talk about important issues, but they do it in a way that starts conversations and encourages change, not just anger.
Right, so it's about giving people a way to do something with that outrage,
Yeah.
make them part of the solution.
Exactly. They also use humor really well, which is kind of surprising when you're dealing with sensitive topics.
Oh, yeah. I guess if you can make someone laugh, they're more open to what you have to say.
Exactly. That's the power of humor. And All Talks Tons of America uses that to address stereotypes and teach people about indigenous practices. They'll take a meme that's funny and everyone can relate to and slip in some info that makes people question what they thought they knew.
So it's like you're teaching people while they're laughing. That's
Wow.
clever. But I've also noticed that a lot of viral content keeps you on the edge of your seat, like those multi-part TikTok stories that you can't stop watching.
Oh, yeah. That's what they call the cliffhanger effect. And it's a really effective way to keep your audience hooked. Tons of America does this a lot. They'll show you a little bit of a tradition or a historical event and leave you with all these questions, making you want to know more.
So it's all about creating that, I got to see what happens next feeling. Like a good show, you can't just watch one episode.
Yeah.
But isn't that a little manipulative?
It can be if you use it the wrong way, but when it's done well, it's just a way to keep people engaged and wanting to learn. Think about those videos that break down complicated topics into smaller pieces. That cliffhanger keeps you clicking to the next part because you're interested in what's happening.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm starting to see how all of this comes together. The emotions, the storytelling, the humor, the suspense. It's like a recipe for content that people can't resist.
Exactly. And we haven't even talked about music yet, especially on platforms like TikTok. Music really sets the mood and can make a video so much more memorable.
You're so right. Music is powerful. But how do you know what music to use? It seems like there are so many options.
It really depends on the emotion you're going for and the overall tone of your content. Like a high-energy song might be perfect for a dance challenge, but a more soulful track could be better for a heartfelt story. It's all about finding music that matches your message and connects with the people you're trying to reach.
Wow. So it's more than just picking a random song. It's about creating that whole experience.
Right. And that actually brings us to one of the most interesting parts of going viral: emotional contagion.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one. Emotional what?
Emotional contagion. It's basically the idea that emotions can spread from person to person. Have you ever seen someone get really excited about something? And then you kind of get curious about it too.
Yeah, all the time. Like when a friend won't stop talking about a new song,
Yeah.
and then it gets stuck in my head.
Exactly. That's emotional contagion. When we see someone feeling a strong emotion, whether it's joy, sadness, excitement, we tend to mirror those emotions, and that's a big part of what makes things go viral.
So if you can make someone feel something strong, it's like you start this chain reaction of feelings.
That's exactly it. It's why some posts just seem to take off. Even if they aren't super polished or professional, it's that raw emotion that really connects with people.
This is so fascinating. I feel like we've covered a lot, but I'm curious. How do we actually use all of this to make something go viral? Is there some secret formula?
Well, there are definitely some key things you can do to make your content more shareable, but the real magic happens when you combine those with your own unique voice and a deep understanding of your audience.
Right. So it's not just about following rules. It's about finding your own way to connect with people.
Exactly. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll dig into some more specific strategies and techniques. We'll break down how to make content that not only resonates, but also spreads like wildfire. So stay tuned. So, welcome back to our deep dive into going viral. Now that we've talked about how important emotional resonance is, let's get into how to actually make that content spread.
Yeah. So we've got people feeling things,
Yeah.
laughing, crying, getting fired up. How do we turn that into all those shares and likes that make something go viral?
Okay, so that's where things get a little more strategic. We know that emotions are contagious, right? But it turns out that some emotions are more contagious than others, and some are better at getting people to share and interact, which is what those algorithms are looking for.
So it's not just about making people feel something. It's about picking the right emotion.
Right. Think of it this way: joy, inspiration, amusement. Those are the emotions people really like to share. When we feel good, we want to share that feeling with other people. It's like spreading positivity and making connections with our friends online.
That makes sense. But what about when you see something that makes you mad or like really outraged? That stuff goes viral too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it definitely can. But it's a little trickier. Outrage can get people talking, but it doesn't always make them want to share. People are more likely to share things that make them look good, things that show off their values.
So like a funny meme or an inspiring story makes you look good, but an angry rant, not so much.
Yeah, pretty much. If you want something to go viral, it's usually better to focus on those positive emotions. Of course, there are exceptions. And we'll talk about those later. But for now, let's stick with the good vibes.
Okay, so let's say we've made something that's hitting those right emotions. Joy, inspiration, that kind of thing. What's next? How do we actually get in front of people?
All right, well, that's where those social media algorithms come in. They're like the gatekeepers, right? Deciding what everyone sees. And they love content that gets people talking, sharing, and interacting.
So we've got to play by their rules if we want people to see our stuff. But how do those algorithms even work? It all seems so mysterious.
Well, it can feel that way. But there are a few key things to keep in mind. First, they really prioritize content that gets a lot of engagement. That means likes, comments, shares, saves, rewatches. The more people interact, the more the algorithm thinks it's valuable, and the more people it shows it to.
So it's like a popularity contest. The more love your content gets, the more the algorithm pushes it out there. But it's not just about how many likes and comments.
Oh my God. It's also about how quickly you get those interactions. A post that gets 1,000 likes over a month, that's cool. But a post that gets those same likes in the first hour, that tells the algorithm something big is happening.
Oh, I see. So it's about getting people excited right away, making them want to interact. How do you even do that?
Great question. One really important thing is to make sure your content grabs people's attention immediately. You need a strong hook in those first few seconds. Whether it's a cool visual, a question that makes people think, or some catchy music.
It's like they say in writing, start with a bang. You got to catch people before they scroll on by.
Exactly. And then once you've got their attention, you got to keep them engaged. Deliver on that promise from your hook. Give them good info, tell a good story, or just make them laugh.
So it's not enough to just have a flashy intro.
Yeah.
You need something to keep people around.
Right. And don't forget those calls to action. Tell people to like, comment, share, tag their friends. The more interaction, the better.
Right. So those classic lines like, tag a friend who needs to see this, or let me know what you think in the comments. Hmm. Sounds cheesy, but it works, huh?
It really does. It gives people a clear way to get involved, and the algorithms love that. Another good strategy is to use those trends and challenges that are already popular, like those dance crazes or those tell me without telling me challenges on TikTok.
Oh yeah, those are everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you jump on those, you're basically tapping into an audience that's already there, like riding a wave that's already happening.
Exactly. But what about those times when you're trying to do something really new, something that stands out? How do you make that go viral?
That's a good question. It feels like everything's been done already. How do you cut through all the noise and make people pay attention to something new?
Well, that's where you really need to get creative and understand your audience. You have to create something that's both emotionally resonant and unexpected, something that surprises people and captures their imaginations.
So those aha moments, those unexpected twists, things that make people say, whoa, I've never seen that before.
Exactly. And remember, going viral isn't just about reaching a ton of people. It's about reaching the right people. You need to know who you're trying to connect with, what they're interested in, what kind of content they respond to, and then tailor your message to them.
Okay, so it's all about being strategic, thinking things through, not just throwing stuff out there and hoping for the best.
That's right. And that brings us to another really important piece of the puzzle, timing. Sometimes even the best content won't go viral if it's not released at the right time.
So it's not just what you share, it's when you share it.
Exactly. The internet is always changing, right? New trends popping up all the time. What's hot one day might be old news the next. So you got to be aware of what's happening online, what people are talking about, what's catching their attention.
So you have to kind of have your finger on the pulse, know what's trending, what's going viral, what's in the news.
Right. And sometimes it's about being ahead of the curve, seeing what's going to be big before it happens.
It's like being a trendsetter, someone who can spot what's cool before everyone else.
Exactly. And once you've figured out the right moment, you got to strike while the iron's hot. Don't wait too long to share your content, or someone else might beat you to it. Be bold and get your message out there while it's still fresh.
So it's about being timely, being relevant, and taking some risks. It's like a balancing act, knowing your audience, understanding those algorithms, and staying on top of what's happening online. No pressure.
Okay. Well, it can feel like a lot, but it's also really exciting. The cool thing about virality is that it's unpredictable. It's like a force of nature that can take your message further than you ever thought possible.
It's like catching lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
But it's not just about luck, right? It's about understanding the science, the psychology, the strategy behind it.
Exactly. That's what we're doing here. We're taking away the mystery, giving you the tools and knowledge to create content that not only resonates, but also spreads. And in the last part of our deep dive, we'll look at some real-world examples of campaigns that went viral, break down what made them so successful, and give you some tips you can use for your own content. Stay tuned.
All right, so we've talked about the emotions and the algorithms and even the timing. It's a lot to keep in mind. But I think I'm finally ready to see how it all plays out in real life. Like, what about some actual examples?
Yeah, that's a great idea. You already mentioned one that really stands out. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Remember how that just seemed to be everywhere for a while?
Oh, yeah, it felt like everyone from celebrities to my neighbor was dumping ice water on themselves. But what made it so successful, besides the, shock value?
Well, it really hit all the right notes. It tapped into that empathy and concern for this really serious disease. But the challenge itself was fun and easy to share, so people felt good participating and spreading awareness at the same time.
Right, and it wasn't just about awareness either. They had that clear call to action to donate to ALS research, which made it easy for people to get involved beyond just sharing the video.
Exactly, and it was so simple. Anyone could do it. You just needed a bucket of ice water and a camera.
It was genius. It really shows how a simple idea, when done right, can make a huge difference.
It really does. And let's not forget about Autochthons of America. They've really mastered the art of creating viral content that's both educational and entertaining.
Absolutely. They're so good at using humor and storytelling and music to share indigenous cultures and break down stereotypes.
And they don't shy away from tough conversations either. They've really sparked some important conversations about social justice and representation, but they always do it in a way that feels genuine and engaging.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to see how they've built this platform that amplifies those voices and reaches so many people.
It really is, and it highlights something really important. Virality isn't just about chasing trends or racking up views. It's about creating content that truly resonates with people. Content that has a purpose and a message behind it.
Right, so it's not about going viral just to go viral. It's about using that reach to do something good.
Exactly. And while not everything we create needs to go viral, these principles can apply to anything we do online. Whether it's a social media post or a blog article or even just an email, think about how you can make those emotional connections, tell a good story, and leave people feeling something.
So even if something doesn't blow up, these insights can still help us communicate better and connect with people on a deeper level.
Absolutely. And remember, the most important thing is to be authentic. Be yourself, share what you're passionate about, and connect with your audience in a real way. That's the real secret to creating content that matters, whether it goes viral or not.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about what makes things go viral and how to create content that really makes a difference.
It's been a pleasure. And just remember, it's not about the views or the likes. It's about connecting with people, sharing something meaningful, and inspiring them to think and feel and act.
So what are we waiting for? Let's put all this knowledge to good use and create something amazing.
Go for it. The internet is your oyster. There's no limit to what you can achieve.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep those creative juices flowing.